Okay, are you ready for more? Below are 4 questions about equivalent expressions. For each one, decide whether you think the expressions are equivalent, and then test your guess by choosing numbers for x and y if needed. So first I'm going to look at the 2 expressions in each one, make a guess as to whether I believe they're equivalent expressions, and then substitute some value in for x or y in both expressions and see if I get equal values. So our first one, x times x times x times x over x, or divided by x, and x times x times x. Are they equivalent? We haven't looked at situations like this a lot, but if you think about if you were multiplying, if you had an expression that looked like this, 3 times 5 over 5, we've talked about how you can divide a numerator and denominator by the same number and keep an equivalent expression, an equivalent fraction. So here I could divide both the top and bottom by 5, and I'd be left with 3. And this is no different. I have a common factor in both the numerator and denominator. I have an x in the denominator and an x in the numerator, so I can think I'm just going to divide both the numerator and denominator by x, and I'm left with x times x times x over 1, and this is x times x times x. So I believe, yes, these are equivalent expressions. And now I'm just going to substitute a number in for x and evaluate both expressions and see if they are in fact equal. So I'm going to caution you when you're doing this, where you're substituting a number in for a variable to test whether an answer is correct or equivalent, try not to use 2, because there's situations where 2 will work and the equations won't necessarily be equivalent, and that's because 2 plus 2 is equal to 2 times 2. So let's use 3 instead. I'm going to test these when x equals 3. So the one expression is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 over 3, and the other expression would just be 3 times 3 times 3. So here, 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 9 is 81. So I have 81 over 3. And then over here, I have 3 times 3, which is 9, times 3, which is 27. And then here, if I divide 81 by 3, I do, in fact, get 27. So, yes, they are equal. The 2 expressions are equivalent. All right, our next one. This one actually looks kind of similar to number 1, except instead of multiplying variables together, we're adding. And this does not work the same way. In this one, I said we could divide the top and bottom by x. Here, I can't do that. This isn't, because these aren't numbers all being multiplied together. So if I were to try and just take out an x there, it's not going to work. This isn't x times x times x times x. This is really 4x. So I think no. But again, let's try that. Let's substitute 3 in for x in both expressions and see what we get. So in the first one, I have 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 divided by 3. And the other one, I have 3 plus 3 plus 3. So here, 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 12. So I have 12 over 3. Here, 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 9. And then 12 divided by 3 is 4, and 4 is most definitely not equal to 9. So this one was a no. Number 3 are 2 times the quantity x plus y and 2 times x plus 2 times y equivalent expressions. Well, one thing we're going to be looking at more in the next few lessons is the distributive property, but I know using the distributive property, I could rewrite this as 2 times x plus 2 times y, and I will get this expression. So I'm going to say yes, but then let's go ahead and substitute some numbers in for x and y and verify that. So let's use 3 for x and 4 for y. So if I do 2 times 3 plus 4, and I want to see, is that going to be equivalent to 2 times 3 plus 2 times 4. So first doing what's in parentheses, 3 plus 4 is 7. 2 times 7 is 14 over here. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. And 6 plus 8 is 14. So yes, they are equivalent expressions. And lastly, our 2 times x times y and 2 times x times 2 times y equivalent expressions. And no, I don't think they will be, because 2xy is, like, if I want to write it out, I could say that's 2 times x times y. And over here, the other expression is 2 times x times 2 times y. And what I can see is they are not equivalent. They both have a factor of x and y, but the expression on the left has one factor of 2, and the expression on the right has 2 factors of 2. It's going to actually double it. Again, let's just substitute some numbers in. Let's use 3 and 4 again for x and y. So this would be like 2 times 3 times 4, and this one is going to be 2 times 3 times 2 times 4. Here, 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. Over here, 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, and 12 times 4 is 48. So yeah, I can see the expression on the right is actually twice the expression on the left. Okay.